My name is Ashley, and this is the story of my son, Lincoln. My son, Lincoln, was only 7 years old when he was diagnosed with leukemia. July 6, 2022 was the day our lives changed forever. I got the phone call, and his primary care said, we need to talk. Are you in a good place, and are you sitting down? Lincoln not only had T-cell acute lymphoblastic leukemia, but he also had leukemia in his spinal fluid. We went to the emergency room where we were later put in the PICU. The PICU is the Pediatric Intensive Care Unit. Lincoln, day 2, had his first transfusion of both blood and platelets. So that's when our first experience with, blood donations became very impactful to Lincoln's survival. I didn't even know what a platelet was until Lincoln was diagnosed with cancer. And then with the education of the medical care team, you learn that platelets are used to stop bleeding. They're your rescue cells, so that if you fall and cut your knee open, your platelets come to rescue to stop the bleeding and begin the healing process. We realized when Lincoln's blood work came back with his increased amount of white blood cells, which is a sign of leukemia, but he was deficient in red blood cells and platelets. When Lincoln gets a blood transfusion, we joke that it's like an energy drink for him. The blood gives him a pep in his step. He feels so much better afterwards. At first, he was really self-conscious about his hair falling out. There is a day that I will forever remember when he started to have bald patches, and he was finally in a place where he had enough energy or could move well enough to see his best friend that lives down the street. He wanted to put on a hat that provided him more coverage, and he wouldn't tell me why. I was picking up on the fact that he felt uncomfortable with how he looked. And then it came time to see Ezra, and he wouldn't go. So I pulled him close, and I said, Lincoln, are you uncomfortable with the way that you look? And he started crying and said yes. He didn't want Ezra to see him like that. Ezra sent Lincoln a message and told Lincoln that he didn't care, and that he missed him, and he loved him. And if he didn't feel like playing today, that was okay, but he wasn't going anywhere. And from that point on, Lincoln and Ezra played no matter what Lincoln looked like, with hair, without hair. After that, it was like something clicked, and he turned a curve. And then when Lincoln first shaved his head, he admired himself in the mirror, I don't know how many times. So he was giving himself smoldering eyes in the mirror, and he was like, you look good. Like, you are handsome. So he learned to love his bald. It took him some time, and then he just rocked it. And he learned that although he may look different on the outside, he was still Lincoln on the inside. So when Lincoln was first diagnosed, we were trying to think of what his fighter name would be. And an undeniable term for a lot of these kids is brave. And he went into his fight against pediatric cancer with the ultimate bravery. So his nickname is Lincoln the Brave. And he is known throughout our community as Lincoln the Brave. And he will often introduce himself as Lincoln the Brave. Today we're 15 months out of diagnosis. Lincoln looks great. He's got all his hair back. He's got eyebrows and eyelashes. He looks more like a healthy child. Can be easy to overlook the fact that there is still a war waging inside of his little body, and he is scheduled to be in maintenance phase through November of 2024. I don't think that people know that there is a blood shortage crisis, and had we not been in this position, I would have never known. I would have never been as motivated to take the time to go donate regularly. What would I say to the donors who have contributed to Lincoln's fight? I've thought about it so many times, if I could just wrap my arms around the people who take the time If I could just hug those people and just squeeze them tight and tell them thank you, that what you're doing truly matters, I would start with a hug. Lincoln's battle against childhood cancer has impacted many of our friends, families, and even strangers to become donors. What I would say to somebody who's considering becoming a donor is, I know it's not always convenient. I know it takes time. I know that you're busy, but it truly makes such a difference, and you are helping to save a life. So please make the first step and become a donor.
Please go donate blood today for other children like me fighting childhood cancer.